What is up, everybody? I'm Johnny Blacklight. Welcome to the channel. Here we talk about all kinds of weird stuff. Cryptids, UAPs, glitches in the Matrix itself, and more. Subscribe and stay a while. But yeah, man, today I've got a few random Reddit stories to read through and go over. So yeah, man, get comfortable, and we're going to talk about some weird entities, some like crawlery, skinwalker-y type stuff. So yeah, man, let's just jump right into it. So our first story comes from r/paranormal encounters from a user who goes by character-wave-9782. His story is titled Unexplainable Ghost Sighting. This story isn't insanely crazy like some other posts I've seen, but I've wanted to share since I've told very few people about this, and everyone seems to have a similar weirded out reaction, as if they think I'm being crazy. I am convinced there is no explanation other than this being a paranormal experience. This was probably about a year ago now. One night my mom was working late and asked me to go out and open the gate out front of my house so she could drive straight into the garage without needing to get out of the car. My house at the time had a long driveway with a very tall, white wooden slate gate in the middle of it, meaning I could see through the slates down to the road if I was behind the gate. I walked out the door, and before I could even start walking down towards the gate, I froze. Between the slates, I saw a completely black silhouette of a man. He looked extremely tall, like 7 or 8 feet, and was quite skinny, just standing there where my driveway met the road. Even though it was only a silhouette, I could just tell it was facing towards me. I stared at it frozen for what I think was at least a good 5 to 10 seconds, so I know what I saw. I looked away for 1 second to make sure my dogs were safe inside, and when I looked back, poof, he completely vanished. Everyone I tell thinks it was just my eyes playing tricks on me or someone walking by. There's just no way. I stared at that thing, and it was completely still, a very solid, obvious black figure, which couldn't have been a shadow. And if it was someone just walking past, it wouldn't have been possible for them to just disappear in the time I looked away. Thinking about it genuinely makes me a bit sick because that was my first, and only as of now, paranormal experience, and it just felt so eerie. If you made it here, thank you for reading. I still remember seeing that clear as day and just wanted to share, so if anyone here has questions or similar experiences, I'd love to hear them. Also, if anyone's wondering, I never opened the gate. Sorry, Mom, but I believe I ran inside. Wow, man, yeah, totally agree, man. I would be just petrified with fear. I've seen a couple weird things. We'll get into some of my personal stories. And that's like probably what I remember the most whenever I had experiences I can't explain, is that fear that just like strikes you and kind of freezes you. And I guess it's that fight or flight mode. You know what I mean? And you just got to kind of go with those natural occurrences. And it's just such a weird adrenaline-y rush feeling that, man, it's crazy. I've never seen anything quite like this. This is a crazy one. I've seen some like shadow people stuff and some weird things happen. I'll do some story time videos at some point and we'll talk about all that. But yeah, man, just like this giant looming, 7-8 feet tall black entity at the end of your driveway like that at night. Oh man, I can just picture that now. And it's just so spooky and so unnerving and creepy and ominous. Yeah. Alrighty, our next story comes from r/paranormal, the username JOSS. The name of their story is, we saw something in our yard that night. I'm a freshman in college now, but this happened years ago when I was in 8th grade, and it's something I still think about late at night. One evening, my mom, my 2 sisters, and I were coming home from the dollar store. We parked in the driveway and started unloading groceries from the trunk. My sisters went inside first while my mom and I stayed behind to get the rest. It was about 8 or 9 p.m. in late November. For context, our house sits on a hill deep down some back roads through the woods. Our front yard is a downhill slope with a lot of open space. There are only a few trees scattered around, and on the other side of the driveway are dense woods. The driveway itself is very long. As my mom and I carried the last groceries towards the porch, we heard leaves crunching. We both stopped and looked into the yard. At first, we thought it was a deer. Its head was hidden behind a tree, and it was dark outside. But then it took a few steps backwards, moving into the light from our front porch. That's when we realized it wasn't a deer. The thing was completely pale and naked, extremely thin, and standing on all fours. It didn't have a face. Its head looked like a mannequin. Its body I can only describe it as looking like a demogorgon from Stranger Things. It turned its head towards us, then it stood up on its hind legs. It ran across the yard, over the driveway, and into the woods. The entire time, it stayed upright. It was freakishly tall, so tall that when it crossed the tree line, the tops of the trees shook as it passed. My mom and I ran inside and shut the door. Once inside, we just stared at each other. I asked her, "Did you see that too?" She asked, "What did you see?" I told her, and she said she had seen the same thing. We locked the doors and went to bed. The next morning, my mom went back outside to the area where it ran across the driveway. That's where she saw the prints. At first, they looked like deer tracks, but there were long, sliding marks between them. As the tracks continued, the hoof-like prints slowly turned into something closer to paws. My mom stopped following them after that. Over the next few days, strange things continued at night. One time, we had the sliding glass doors open that lead to the back porch, where dogs were standing there, growling harshly. My mom and I were trying to figure out what was upsetting them when we heard it. A loud, distant scream, like a howl and a cry mixed together. We rushed the dogs inside and locked the door. Nothing else ever happened after that, and eventually we moved to another city for unrelated reasons. But whatever that thing was that I saw in the yard that night, whatever left those prints, I hope, more than anything, that I never come close to it again. Edit. I never specified, but I'm an 18-year-old male from Kentucky. Thanks for the love on this experience. I never thought so many people would read this. Ah, man, another super creepy one, man. Just demogorgon-like. Imagine, what you know from Stranger Things and the Demogorgon and seeing something similar to that. But yeah, just imagine seeing something like that move across your yard or whatever, man. That's insane. Something's going on, man. The veil is thinning is what it seems like, man. And we're getting more and more sightings of these weird, elongated, humanoid-like entities, man. I'm not sure if we've got crawler situations or skinwalker situations or something in between. I don't know. But it's definitely creepy. I know that. And that's another thing that sounds so weird about these stories is they're all like oddly, eerily similar. You know what I mean? So it's just like they all seem like they kind of track together. It's just weird and creepy and uncanny, I guess. Alrighty, and our last story up here is from r/crawler sightings, username looking_for_answers93. Creature lurking in the woods behind my house, roughly 3 years ago. So I'll start this off with my younger sister's part of the story. She was about 12 or 13 at the time, and very into skinwalker type stories and stuff like that. We have a tree with a tire swing in our backyard that she was on, and our friends were standing around her late one night. She says that her friends out of nowhere were telling her that they need to go inside, and seemed panicked and were looking off to the side until they eventually, after a minute or so, left and went back into my house. And were in the doorway, still trying to get my sister to come back into the house. She says that she zoned out, and when she came back to, she could feel that there was a presence next to her, like something that's there but shouldn't be. When she looked over, she sees hooves or possibly feet. Bony, long, wrong-looking legs and a dirty, faded, white type of skin. She immediately got off the tire swing and started slowly walking back up to the house, because she had read somewhere that in an encounter like this, that you are supposed to act like you didn't notice it and turn and walk away. But she said when she did this, she could hear it deeply groan in a bone-crackling type of noise. And then as she was walking towards the house, it went quiet. Then she heard the groan again, a couple of feet behind her, which made her run the rest of the 15 foot or so back into my house. She also says that during this time, she felt very scared to the point to where she was about to start crying. Her and her friends talked about it for a while and eventually fell asleep around 5 a.m. in my room because I had curtains and she didn't. I was at my grandma's house at the time, but her friend said when she woke up around noon, she saw me walk into the bathroom wearing what I had been wearing when I left the day before, which sounds normal, of course. But when my sister woke up and realized I wasn't home, she called me, which I told her I had stayed the night with my grandma and I hadn't been home yet. The reason that I believe this story, outside of the fact that I know my sister wouldn't just make something like that up and stick with it for years now, it's because I've seen something similar in the woods behind my house one day. While not as intense of a situation as her, I still seen the upper half of what she had described, and it was around the same time a little after her situation. My neighbors are all family with all of their houses built on the same patch of land, and our house was the parents' house before they passed, and there is a brother and his wife and a sister and her son in a different house. So 4 houses total on a piece of land bordered by road on all sides, with your houses in the middle. They have a trail system that goes all the way through the woods and field and connects all the houses together, which I was walking on through the woods and had come across these skinny, maybe 20-foot tall trees, all bent over in an arch, making like a tunnel almost. As I'm looking at these trees, wondering how they got like this, I look over to the left, across a wet, marshy type area, to the other side of it, and I see the upper half of a pale, faded, white, bony figure, with no visible facial features, walk out of a thick, bushy area, into a 10-foot stretch, where the weeds were grown up to around where its belly button would be, and walked back behind another heavily wooded area. I didn't stick around and investigate. I immediately turned around and went back to my house. But at the same time, I don't think it seemed to notice me, because I just seen it from the side, walking quickly but weirdly stiff, like its shoulders weren't moving a whole lot. After her first story, there was another situation where my sister, her friend, and our dog were in one of my dad's old trucks, sitting out back near the tire swing, hanging out, and she said when she looked over, she seen a white figure watching them from the woods. And my dog saw it and started whining and shaking, and a couple minutes later, there was a tapping on the window, which they were scared to acknowledge, but she says the dog started trembling and whining worse, and they ended up staying in the truck with the doors locked until the sun came up. Those are the only times anyone's seen it, but there is the occasional window tap, where a few months ago I fell asleep with my window open and woke up with a super strong feeling someone was watching me. It just laid still, and when I moved to close the window and close my curtains, I heard someone moving away from my window, which me, being a confrontational person, got up, put my pants on, grabbed a flashlight, and ran outside, looking for whoever it was, but I never found anyone or anything. Also a time where there was a cow-sounding moan coming from the woods behind my house at night, which we didn't really think a whole lot of, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. The whole reason this was even brought up and talked about was because my sister told me a few nights ago she had our cats, that's an indoor/outdoor type of cat, on her stomach in her room, petting her, and she was purring. Then a couple minutes later, after the cat stopped purring, she heard the exact same sound that the cat was making, as if someone recorded it and was playing it back coming from her window that was open behind her bed, which she waited a few minutes for it to stop, then reached up behind her and closed the window. Sorry if I went into excessive detail on things that don't matter. I'm definitely not a writer, just trying to get some insight on what we could be dealing with. Thanks to anyone that read the whole thing and has any comments on it. Added after this has been written, I've also found a den-like thing made out of brush and a full set of deer bones, fully intact, as if it just laid over and died. I didn't really think that it was super important, so I didn't mention it. But after reading some other stories, they mention stuff like this. Wow, man, that one's a super weird one. That one's got all kinds of stuff going on with it. We got some mimicking stuff going on. I don't know, man, this sounds different than like a crawler or whatever. Maybe more skinwalker sounds, I don't know, with the hooves and stuff like that. It sounds like some kind of completely different entity altogether. But yeah, very strange and odd, man. Very creepy how him and his sister share these similar stories. The kind of zoning out issue with his sister too is super creepy and weird, and reminds me very much more of like something more skinwalker-esque, or something that isn't just like a normal cryptid, I guess you could say. Something with a little bit more supernatural powers, or more connected to something weird, like some other realm or some sort of, entity that can travel or whatever. I don't know, man. Super weird though. Definitely doesn't sound positive. Definitely sounds very ominous, very creepy, very weird. That feeling of like the full emotion coming on, where the girl saying that she just felt like the need to cry out of nowhere. Just like, that's so powerful and weird, because sometimes that can just happen whenever you see something so crazy like that. It's just such a real emotion. You know what I mean? It's such an interesting thing that seeing stuff like this can bring that upon a person. So weird. But yeah, man, I've just been saving up some stories. I really like reading these creepy Reddit stories. They're just super fun to get into and kind of decipher and kind of play a little detective and kind of just talk a little bit and kind of see what you think about it. Let me know what you think of these, man. What was your favorite story? Do you have any encounters similar to these that you want to talk about? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, man, just want to jump on, do a quick video real quick, some story reading. That's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Johnny Blacklight. Subscribe for more. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.